Maybe you're staying up late tonight, just like I am. One of those nights. Not too loud, not too special. Just quietly awake. Outside. The rain taps gently on the roof. Inside, a soft yellow light fills the room. And in my chest, there's a feeling I can't quite name. Not sadness, not joy, just stillness. I don't know why you're still awake. Maybe you're tired. Or maybe you just don't want today to end just yet. But if you've opened this letter, if you're letting the sound of rain and these quiet words guide you for a little while, then maybe, just maybe, you're not alone tonight. I want to tell you a story. Nothing dramatic, nothing intense. Just a quiet night in a small apartment called 120B. A night when I sat between half-packed boxes, looked around one last time, and whispered goodbye. If you've ever had a place that held a part of your soul, if you're standing at some kind of turning point in your life, then maybe this story will feel like someone's sitting next to you. They're sipping tea in the dark and saying, I get it. And if, somewhere along the way, you feel like a piece of this letter mirrors something inside you, drop a, not to say something big, just to say, I'm here too. Have you ever had a place you thought you'd stay in forever? Not a mansion, not a luxurious condo. Just a small, simple space. But every corner of it felt like yours. You could walk around with your eyes closed and still know where the outlets were, which floorboard creaked, and how the morning light poured in from a specific angle. Apartment 1B was that kind of place for me. And tonight is my last night here. I'm sitting on the living room floor, cool wood beneath me, surrounded by sealed cardboard boxes. The couch is gone. The tall corner lamp has been unplugged. Only a ceiling bulb glows faintly above me, and outside, the rain continues its quiet rhythm against the window pane. It's almost empty in here now, yet somehow still full, not full of things, full of memories. Have you ever wanted to write a letter you knew you'd never send? A letter not for anyone in particular, just for the feeling that rises inside you when you're about to leave something familiar. Maybe it's a place, maybe it's a person. Or maybe it's a version of yourself, someone who once laughed here, cried here, healed here. I'm writing this letter not to hold on to the past, but to say thank you to apartment 1B, to the years I grew up inside these walls, and to the version of myself that was brave enough to move forward, even while still afraid. I don't know where you are tonight. I don't know what you're going through. But if you're sitting quietly somewhere too, feeling a little unsure, a little full, and you're not even sure why, stay with me for a while. Tonight, I want to tell you things I've never said out loud. Gently, slowly. Like someone sitting next to you on a rainy night, handing you a warm cup of tea and whispering. You know, there are things we only understand right before we leave them. I moved into apartment 1B on a March afternoon. The kind of day when the air is still a little cold, but the sun feels warm enough to wear a t-shirt on the balcony. The apartment was nearly empty, just a single chair, an old rug left behind by the previous tenant, and a large window facing a tree lined street. I didn't own much. Everything I had fit into a few suitcases and a couple of unfinished dreams. But I remember the feeling so clearly. For the first time, I had a space that was truly mine, not shared, not borrowed, not temporary, just a small apartment. But I called it home. I remember those first mornings, the hum of the coffee machine, the scent drifting into every corner of the room. I'd sit by the window with a notebook and a worn-out pen. I didn't write anything profound, just simple lines like, Monday, the sky is clear, I'm still here, and I have coffee. There were quiet evenings too, the kind where I'd lie on the floor, reading under soft jazz and the dim glow of a lamp, yarn from an unfinished knitting project scattered beside me. Outside, it rained. And somehow, that stillness felt more than enough. Like everything I needed was inside those 50 square meters. Then someone entered my life. At first, it was just short visits. Then came the toothbrush in the bathroom, the jacket on the chair, a vase of flowers in the kitchen, the lingering scent of perfume when I opened the door. We'd leave the lights low on Sunday nights, watch movies side by side, tried cooking recipes we found online, disasters mostly, laughed ourselves to tears over burnt pizza, fell asleep on the couch. These small things, but they filled the space with something real. There were tears too, not because we fought. Just one day they left, quietly, the way they came. I remember not turning the lights on that night, just sitting in the dark, listening to the rain. It wasn't pain exactly, just a kind of hollow silence that let me hear the sound of my own breathing. But I was never lonely in apartment 12B for long. Eventually, I'd hang a new picture, bring home a new plant, and relearn how to live alone. I even started talking to my pillow, a tiny world of my own, held between four familiar walls. That kitchen. I threw myself a birthday dinner there when I turned 30. No cake. Just handmade pasta, a glass of red wine, and my favorite piano playlist. I raised my glass alone and toasted. Here's to still being here, still being me, even when it's hard. The seasons passed. Autumn leaves scattered across the entryway. The first winter, when the heating broke, and I slept under 3 layers of blankets. Gently spring sunlight slipped through the blinds, waking me with clean air and the distant sound of birds. All of that was apartment 12B. And now, with everything sealed in cardboard boxes, I realize there are so many things I just can't pack louder. Hugs, the familiar silence, and the version of myself who once believed in tomorrow. I don't regret any of it. But I do want to say goodbye, gently, with a letter, with one last night on the floor, letting every memory walk through the room once more. Not to cling, not to replay, just to see them and smile. It's hard to say exactly when things began to change. There was no announcement, no warning bell. Just one day, I realized I no longer heard the birds in the morning. Or maybe they were still singing. I just wasn't listening anymore. life slowly got busier. I started bringing work home. The laptop stayed open late into the night. The dinner table, once used for shared meals and quiet laughs, became a surface for invoices, notebooks, and half-drunk coffee mugs. I stopped playing soft music in the evenings, stopped writing in my journal, stopped staring out the window for no reason. Have you ever felt like you were still living in the same space, but the person living there wasn't really you anymore? I began rearranging the apartment to make it more efficient. I tossed out old stuff, replaced it with sleeker, newer things. I told myself I was simplifying, but deep down, I think I was trying to forget a few things. There was a night I almost threw away an old knit blanket, the one I'd wrapped around myself every cold winter. I had it in a trash bag, ready to go, but I paused, took it out, and folded it quietly back into the closet. Maybe later, I whispered. Friends who used to drop by stopped coming as often. Not because they stopped caring. We were just all busy, caught in our own orbits. Sometimes I'd see them smiling in photos from gatherings I wasn't invited to. I didn't feel hurt, just distant, and strangely okay with it. I changed too. Talked less, dreamed smaller. I stopped writing letters to myself, became quicker with emails, faster at lowering expectations, better at pretending I didn't need help. I used to think that was what adulthood looked like. But now, I wonder if it was just me learning how to not be disappointed so often. The apartment changed with me. Tiny cracks in the wall, scratches on the floor, a wobbly table leg. But I didn't fix anything, not because I couldn't, but because I told myself I probably won't be here much longer anyway. That thought repeated quietly in my mind for months. No deadline, no plan. Just a quiet certainty that a new chapter was coming. Not because I didn't love this place anymore, but because I wasn't the same person who moved in. One day, I got an email that the apartment next door had been rented. It used to belong to a neighbor who baked cookies and left some by my door on rainy days. She had moved out a while ago. I just hadn't noticed. But reading that email made my chest feel tight for a moment. Not sadness, a chapter closed. No farewell. No ceremony. A few weeks later, I started packing, not to move out right away, but just to see what I would take with me if I did. And I realized so many things I thought were important, I didn't care to keep them. And little, seemingly meaningless things, like a scribbled note someone left me, I couldn't throw away. One rainy afternoon, I looked out the window and whispered, "I think I'm ready." And no one heard it, just me. And the apartment, and the rain, still falling just like always. I used to think growing up was a moment, something clear, like the day you got your diploma or your first paycheck. I waited for those milestones to arrive so I could finally say, now I've made it. I'm an adult. But now I see it differently. Growing up doesn't happen all at once. It creeps in, slowly, quietly, and sometimes you only notice it when you're sitting on the floor of an empty apartment, packing up a life you used to know. There was a night I sat in my living room for hours. No music, no phone, no light. Just the ticking of the clock and the sound of my own breathing. I used to hate silence. I always had to fill it with words, noise, company. I was scared of what I'd hear if things got too quiet. But lately, I find myself choosing the quiet more often. Not because I'm finally at peace, but because I've learned to sit with the stillness, even when it has nothing to say back. I used to be hard on myself, really hard, for not being strong enough, for not having it all together, for not being like everyone else. I compared, I performed, and eventually I burned out. There was one morning I woke up and didn't want to get out of bed, not because I was lazy, but because I couldn't figure out what I was moving toward anymore. And I held that feeling in for so long, didn't talk to anyone about it, because I thought, who am I to complain when I have a roof over my head and food in the fridge? But here's something I've come to believe. Everyone carries their own kind of tired, and no one has to hit rock bottom to deserve rest. Apartment 20B taught me that. Not by doing anything dramatic, but simply by being there. By giving me a place to cry on the floor with no one watching. And a place to wake up the next day with sunlight still pouring through the blinds, as if nothing had broken. No one came to rescue me, but no one came to judge me either. And sometimes that's all you need. Not a rescue, just space. I used to believe that if I tried hard enough, I could hold on to everything. Love, friendships, all the good moments. I thought I could bottle it all up, keep it safe, untouched. But life doesn't work like that. Friendships fade. Lovers drift. Even beautiful things lose their shine over time. And I've spent years thinking that every goodbye meant I failed. But now I understand. But not everything that leaves is a loss. Some things end right on time, so you can finally breathe again. Now that I'm about to leave this place, I'm not as heartbroken as I expected to be. A little heavy, yes, but not broken. It's like watching a kid you once knew grow up. You don't get to keep them, but you're proud they're moving on. I don't see myself as a failure anymore for not holding everything together. I see someone who showed up, who lived truthfully, even when it wasn't pretty, even when it was just quiet. I'm sitting here, writing this, not to cling to the past, but to honor it. To say, I made it farther than I thought I could, and I'm still going. One quiet afternoon, I paused while packing, sat on the floor, leaned back against a cardboard box, and looked around the room. There wasn't anything particularly special. Just white walls, a worn-out wooden floor, and a window left slightly open to let in the sound of rain. But somehow, in that moment, I felt enough. Not enough, because I had everything I ever wanted. But enough, because I didn't feel like I was missing anything. I had spent so many years with that constant feeling of not enough. Not smart enough. Not successful enough. Not beautiful enough. Not together enough. I kept pushing forward, thinking that maybe one day I'd become a better version of myself, more likable, more accomplished, more worthy. But it turns out I didn't need to become a better version of me. I just needed to pause long enough to realize I'm already worth something, even now, even like this. I used to think forgiveness was something you offered to others, to the people who hurt you, disappointed you, walked away. But lately, I've been learning how to forgive someone else me, forgiving myself for not always being brave, for letting some chances pass, for not showing up in the ways I wish I had. I don't need to start over. I just need to keep going. A little softer, a little kinder. Apartment 1B never asked me to be productive. It didn't demand success. It didn't care if I had it all figured out. It just held me. On the days I came home defeated. On the nights I cried myself to sleep. On the mornings I woke up with no plans, no spark. This place didn't fix anything. It just stayed. And maybe that's what healing looks like sometimes. Not grand changes. Just quiet presence. I'm not the same person who first walked in here with wide eyes and big hopes. I've become someone who knows that everything changes. And that's okay. I no longer feel the need to prove myself. I just want to be real. To treat others kindly. To treat myself gently. As I write this, I don't have a perfect ending for the story. There's no big breakthrough, no dramatic shift. Just this: if I can sit here tonight, breathe deeply, and feel peace in my chest, that's enough. Sometimes you don't need the whole map, or anyone's approval, or the right timing. Sometimes you just need to believe that you are moving in the right direction, and that you haven't missed your chance.
Not yet.
Dear Apartment 12, I'm not quite sure what to call you. A space, a shelter, a chapter, maybe all of the above. I don't really know where to begin, so I'll just let these words spill out like a soft whisper on my last night here. Thank you for being patient with me in the moments I wasn't sure I could keep going. Thank you for the sunny mornings, where you reminded me that a new day doesn't have to be impressive to be meaningful. Thank you for the quiet nights, where I learned that solitude doesn't have to be empty. And thank you for never demanding anything from me. Not explanations, not accomplishments, not strength. You simply stayed. I used to try so hard to keep everything exactly the same. I thought if I didn't move the table, or change the curtains, or throw anything out, then maybe the memories would stay intact. But memories don't live in objects. They live inside us, and we carry them wherever we go. I'm not bringing the old sofa, but I'll carry the night we fell asleep watching movies under a warm light. I'm not taking the chipped coffee mug, but I'll remember the quiet Sunday mornings with jazz playing and the smell of toast in the air. I'm not bringing the sound of rain on your window, but I know that every time it rains, I'll think of you. I once asked myself, will this place miss me when I leave? It sounded silly at the time, but now I think maybe places don't miss us. Maybe we miss the people we were inside them. I don't know who will live here next, I hope they find comfort in your walls. I hope they laugh here, cry here, grow here. I hope they feel at home. As for me, I'm leaving, not to escape, but to continue. With a heart that's a little softer and a mind that's a little clearer. If I could say one last thing, it would be this. I forgive myself for the things I didn't do, the things I couldn't say, the parts of me I outgrew. And I know I lived fully here, honestly, even if imperfectly. Apartment 12B, thank you for being home. Goodbye. And if one day I come back, not to live, but just to look, I hope you'll still be here, quiet, warm, like a memory that no longer hurts to remember. If you've stayed until this very line, thank you for walking with me through this quiet little journey. You may not know who I am, and I don't know where you are, what city you're in, what kind of light is spilling through your bedroom window tonight. But I believe if you're here at this hour, then maybe there's something we share. Maybe we're both tired. Maybe we both once loved a place far too deeply. Maybe we both carry things no one else can see, but that have weighed heavy for years. Or maybe we both just needed a gentle sigh before closing our eyes. I don't have answers for you. I don't know what tomorrow holds. But I do know we don't have to figure it all out tonight. Sometimes all we need is to pause, to write a letter we'll never send, to listen to the rain outside the door, and to let our hearts drift, without judgment, without pressure. And that is enough. If you, too, have a letter you never sent, to a place, to a person, or to a part of yourself, hold it gently. And if you'd like, leave as a wordless hello. No one needs to know why. Just know this, you are not alone. Wishing you a soft, peaceful sleep, a morning that's kind, and a new journey, one where you don't have to carry so much. Just bring the gentleness you gave yourself tonight.